What do you do when the man you trust sells you like an object? Celine stood at the altar with her hands tight around a bouquet of white lilies. The church in central Seoul glowed with soft lights. Guests waited. The singer's voice hung in the air like a promise. Celine's heart felt full and shaky all at once. She breathed in hope. She thought of the life she and Kang Lee had planned. Small mornings, loud laughter, 2 children running in the rain. She smiled at the thought. Minutes turned into songs, songs into quiet whispers. The doors stayed closed. Maybe traffic, a woman nearby said in a small voice. A man cleared his throat. Glasses clinked softly, trying to cover the silence. Celine tried to calm herself. She folded the napkin in her hands until it creased white. Her phone buzzed. She looked down. Kang Lee's name flashed on the screen. Her fingers shook as she opened the message. A car is waiting to pick you outside. Her chest fell. Her throat felt dry. She typed quickly, "Why? Where are you?" and hit send. No answer came back. She wanted to believe him. She wanted to think he had a surprise, or that he would come out and laugh and kiss her and apologize. Love made her brave. Just to be sure, she stood. "I will be right back," she told the bridesmaid. The girl gave a forced smile and led her into the corridor. Celine's shoes clicked on the marble floor. She kept telling herself it would be fine. Kang Lee loved her. He would not leave. Outside, the sky was heavy and grey. Across the church, a black car waited by the curb. Its engine hummed softly like a sleeping animal. A man in a dark coat stood at the wheel. He looked up when he saw Celine. His eyes met hers. He did not smile. She stepped inside. The door closed with a soft thud that sounded like a lock. "Where is Kang Lee?" Celine asked, voice small. The driver's face did not change. He only nodded and said, "He asked us to take you." The car moved. Seoul lights blurred into a ribbon of color. Celine held the bouquet so tight the stems bit her palm. She called Kang Lee again. No reply. Her hope turned into a hard stone that sat in her stomach. "Please, tell him to come," she whispered, pressing her forehead to the cool glass. Tears filled her eyes. She imagined Kang Lee running toward her, arms wide, breathless, laughing at a terrible joke. She waited. The car turned onto a road she did not know. Tall buildings fell away. A cold wind blew. The driver spoke again in a voice that had no warmth. "We are almost there." She tried the door. It did not open. A building appeared ahead like a shadow, big gates, high walls, rows of dark windows. The car stopped. 2 men stepped out and walked toward the passenger door. Their footsteps were slow and steady, like the beat before a storm. Celine's breath hitched. Her lips formed a single word. "Kang Lee?" No answer came, only the snap of the car door as it opened. Hands reached in. She tried to pull away. The lilies dropped, petals spreading like a white warning on the leather seat. As strong hands lifted her, a tall figure stood in the gate's shadow. For a moment, she saw a face, quiet, hard, and colder than she had ever felt. A voice would later tell her that the man there was Tai-ho. For now, she only had the look in his eyes. It was the look of a man who did not believe in second chances. The hands closed around her. It crawled across her skin, slow and sharp, like the breath of someone she could not see. When her eyes opened, she found herself lying on a hard floor, her wedding dress wrinkled beneath her. The room around her was dark. No windows, no furniture, only a single bulb hanging from the ceiling like a lonely star. Her breath trembled. Where am I?" The walls did not answer. A metallic taste filled her mouth, fear. Her hands moved across the floor, desperate for a door, a corner, anything. Her fingers hit metal. A lock. A door she could not open. "Help! Someone please," she screamed. Her voice bounced off the walls and died. She hit the door again, harder this time. "Please. Let me out. Is anyone there?" Her words cracked in the air. Silence followed, heavy enough to crush her chest. Her throat burned. She slid down to the floor, hugging her knees. Tears rolled down her face in quiet streams. Only hours ago, she was a bride. Now she was alone in a place colder than night. Minutes passed, maybe hours, until she heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Heavy. Coming closer. The lock clicked. The door opened. Light from the hallway spilled in, and a man stepped inside. His presence filled the room before he even spoke. He stood tall, wearing a black suit like a shadow shaped into human form. His face was calm, too calm. His eyes, deep, sharp, unreadable, looked at Celine as if studying a problem, not a person. This was Tai-Ho. He did not blink when she crawled backward, pressing her back against the wall. "Why am I here?" she whispered. Tai-Ho looked down at her bouquet on the floor, the lilies wilted and brown from her grip. Then he finally spoke, his voice deep and quiet but so cold it made her shiver. "You were sold." Celine shook her head. No, that's not possible." "Kang Lee," Tai-Ho continued, his face unreadable, "owed a debt. A large one. He paid with you." The world tilted. Her breath broke in half. "You're lying," she said weakly. "He wouldn't, he loved me." Tai-Ho's expression did not change. "Love?" His voice curled, almost mocking. "He did not even negotiate your price." Celine gasped, her heart tearing in places she didn't know existed. "That's not true. He texted me. He told me to come. He sent you to us," Tai-Ho said. "Walking willingly into the trap made our job easier." Her hands flew to her mouth. The memory of the car, the locked doors, the driver's empty eyes, everything slammed together like breaking glass. "No," she whispered. "No, please let me see him. Let me ask him myself." Tai-Ho turned, already stepping out. "You belong here now," he said simply. "Accept it." "I'm not property," Celine cried. "I am a human being." He stopped in the doorway. For one tiny moment, he looked back. His eyes held something she couldn't name. Pain? Anger? Maybe both. But it was gone before she could catch it. "You will remain here until I decide otherwise." The door shut. The lock turned. Celine sank to the floor, shaking. Outside the room, two guards whispered. "That's the girl," one asked. "Yes," the other replied. "The one Kang Lee sold. He's done it before. Many times." Celine's heart stopped. Many times. Her tears fell again, but this time they were hot with something new, something sharp. Not just sadness. Not fear. Revenge. As the footsteps faded, she looked at the door with new eyes. She would cry tonight, but she would not break forever. And soon, she would make every one of them, especially Kang Lee, remember her name. The guards led her down a long hallway. The floor was polished black marble, so shiny she could see her reflection, tear-stained, confused, but slowly hardening. Portraits of cold-eyed men lined the walls, all staring at her like judges in a silent court. The guard in front spoke over his shoulder. "You will stay in the eastern quarters. Do not wander." "Why?" Celine asked, her voice still shaky. He didn't answer. Another guard behind her muttered, "Because if you do, you may not come back." Her skin chilled. She hugged her arms close, wishing her wedding dress had more strength than silk. They finally reached a bedroom, small, but cleaner than the dark room she had woken in. Before she could step inside, a familiar voice echoed from the end of the hallway. "Leave." The guards bowed instantly. Tai-Ho walked toward them, hands in his pockets, movements calm and controlled like someone used to commanding fear. Celine's breath hitched when his eyes met hers. Cold. Still. Unreadable. "You will stay in this room," he said. His tone wasn't harsh, but it carried a dangerous weight. Celine swallowed. "And what happens now?" "You follow the rules," he said. "You stay alive. That is enough for now." "That's not an answer," she whispered. He stepped closer, and Celine's back met the wall. Tai-Ho wasn't touching her, but his presence pressed into the air between them. "I do not owe you answers." Celine forced herself to look up. "You owe me the truth." His jaw twitched, just a little, but she saw it. Then he turned away. "Breakfast is in an hour. Come out when called." The guards followed him as he walked off. Celine stepped into her room and closed the door. Her heartbeat thudded against her ribs like a trapped animal. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her trembling hands. He's hiding something, she thought. And not just about the mansion. Something deeper. Older. Something broken. Breakfast was served in a dining hall so wide her voice could echo if she screamed. A long table stretched from one wall to the other. Men in dark suits sat around it, all dangerous, all watching her. Taiho sat at the head. A king on a throne carved from silence. Celine took a small step inside. Conversation stopped. One man whispered behind his hand, "That's her? The Nigerian girl?" Another replied, "The one Kang Lee sold? I heard she didn't even resist." Celine clenched her fists. She resisted. They just didn't see. Taiho lifted his gaze slowly. "Sit," he said. She walked to the seat placed next to him. Every step felt like walking across thin ice. The food looked untouched. No one moved. No one ate. They were waiting for Taiho. Or maybe waiting for him to judge her. He spoke without looking at her. "You will eat." She didn't want to. But her body needed strength. She picked up a spoon, her hand trembling. As she lifted the first bite, Taiho's voice cut through the silence. "Kang Lee played you well." The spoon froze mid-air. Celine turned to him, her eyes sharp. "Don't talk about him." "Why not?" he asked, eyes trained on her. "You still believe he loved you?" His words stabbed, but she refused to look weak. "He sent me that car. He must have been trying." "No," Taiho's tone was flat. "He delivered you to me. You walked into your own cage." Her breath stuttered. "You don't know what he felt." Taiho leaned back, elbows on the armrests, voice calm but brutal. "I know he gambles away everything he touches. I know he sells women instead of paying debts. And I know," he paused, eyes narrowing. "You were nothing more than money to him." Celine swallowed the hard pain rising in her throat. "I don't believe you," she whispered. "And that," he said softly, "is why you are here." As the meal ended, Celine stood to leave. Her foot caught on a loose tile. She stumbled. Gasps echoed. Before she fell, a firm hand caught her wrist. Strong. Warm. Unexpected. "Taiho." For a split second, their eyes locked. His were not cold this time. Not empty. There was something else, something buried, something tired. He released her wrist quickly, almost too quickly, as if the touch burned him. "Be careful," he said quietly. Celine stepped back, stunned. That was the first time his voice carried something human. Before she could process it, a guard approached Taiho and whispered something urgently in his ear. Taiho's expression darkened. He stood. "Celine," he said, "do not leave this room. No matter what you hear. No matter what happens." "Why?" she asked, heart racing. "There are people," he said, "who want you dead." Her pulse stopped. And just like that, the mansion's danger became real. What if the danger chasing you began long before you were even born? That question wrapped itself tight around Celine as Taiho's warning echoed in her chest. "There are people who want you dead." The words clung to her skin like cold rain. Her breath trembled. "Why me?" she whispered, but Taiho was already gone, walking with sharp purpose down the hallway, guards trailing behind him like shadows. Celine stood alone in the dining hall, heart pounding so loudly she could hear it over the silence. She hugged her arms close. The walls, once merely cold, now felt hostile, watching her, listening, waiting. She didn't want to be afraid. She didn't want to let this mansion swallow her. But fear came anyway. Minutes later, 2 guards led her back to her room. The hallway felt longer this time, darker, as if every step pulled her into something she was never meant to see. When the guards left, Celine locked the door herself and pressed her back against it. She whispered, "Please, God. I don't want to die here." She didn't know how long she stayed like that, minutes, maybe an hour, before she heard soft footsteps outside her door. She jumped. "Who's there?" she called out. A quiet voice answered, "Relax. If I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't knock." Her heart froze. The door opened before she could respond. A young man stepped inside, one she hadn't seen up close before. He wore the same black suit as the others, but his face was softer, kinder, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He bowed slightly. "I'm Jun-ho," he said. Taiho's second-in-command. Celine swallowed. "Why are you here?" "To warn you," Jun-ho replied, voice low. "About what?" He looked at her carefully, like someone deciding whether a truth was too heavy for the person hearing it. Then he sighed. The people trying to kill you, they're not after you because of Kang Lee. They're after you because of your father. Celine blinked. My father died when I was young. Jun-ho nodded. Yes. And the day he died, he left something behind. Something people would kill to find. Celine stepped back. No. That can't be right. My father was just a teacher. He wasn't involved in anything. Jun-ho shook his head gently. No. Your father was not who you think he was. The truth hit her like heat from a fire she didn't know she was standing near. Her stomach twisted. I don't understand, she whispered. Jun-ho's tone softened. You don't have to understand yet. Just know this, your father's secret is the reason Taiho kept you alive. And the reason his enemies want you dead. Celine's legs weakened. She sat on the bed, burying her face in her hands. A quiet moment passed before she raised her head again. Why is Taiho protecting me? He doesn't even like me. Jun-ho smiled sadly. Taiho doesn't like anyone. That is his nature. Then his eyes softened. But he values loyalty. Your father saved his life once. Taiho is returning the debt. Celine froze. My father saved him? Jun-ho nodded. Yes. Many years ago. Her world tilted. Her father had saved the man who now held her captive. The same man who spoke coldly, controlled everything, hid his pain behind a mask. She didn't know what to feel. Relief. Fear. Anger. Confusion. Maybe all of them. Jun-ho started toward the door. Stay inside. Tonight will not be safe. Celine stood quickly. Jun-ho, will they really kill me? He paused, hand on the doorknob. Yes, he said simply. If they find you. The moment he left, the mansion fell silent again. Too silent. Celine walked to the window, caged by iron bars, and looked down at the courtyard. Men in black were gathering. Guns. Radios. Urgent movements. Her pulse spiked. She whispered to herself, why is all this happening to me? A sudden knock made her spin around. Celine. It was Taiho's voice. He opened the door and stepped in. His eyes swept the room, alert, intense, as if checking every corner for danger before even looking at her. You're shaking, he said. Celine straightened her shoulders. I'm fine. No, Taiho said, his tone flat. You're not. For a moment, just a moment, his voice held something human. Why are they after me? She asked, stepping toward him. Tell me the truth. Please. Taiho looked at her for a long time. His jaw tightened, the faintest muscle twitch giving away something he didn't want to feel. Finally, he spoke. Your father carried secrets that could destroy men who stand above the law. They think you have those secrets. They think you are a threat. Celine's throat tightened. I don't know anything. I know, Taiho said quietly. That's why you're innocent. He looked away then, as if innocence was something painful for him. A loud noise echoed outside, a car door slammed. Men shouted orders. Taiho turned back to her, his expression sharpening like a blade. They're here. Celine's breath caught. Taiho stepped closer, lowering his voice. Whatever happens tonight, do not leave this room. I will come back. His eyes locked with hers long enough for her to see something she hadn't seen before. Fear. For her. Then he turned and disappeared into the hall. Celine sank onto the bed, her hands trembling violently. Outside, the night cracked open. How close do two people have to stand before fear becomes something else, something warm? Celine asked herself that question long after Taiho left her room that night. She sat on the edge of the bed, listening to the chaos outside, the running footsteps, the shouted commands, the engines, the harsh Korean voices cutting through the darkness like blades. Her heart thudded hard, but not just from fear. Something had shifted. Something she didn't want to name yet. Taiho was afraid, for her. She had seen it in his eyes. Just for a second. But it was real. The sun had barely risen when someone knocked on her door. Celine, a deep voice called. Taiho. She opened the door slowly, expecting him to be as cold as always. But he looked different today. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, exposing a bruise on his arm. His hair was slightly messy. There was a line of dried blood on his cheek. Yet his eyes, usually icy and guarded, held something gentler, something almost soft. "You're safe," he said quietly. "The enemies failed last night." Celine let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Did anyone get hurt?" "Not you," he replied. As if that was the only answer that mattered. A silence stretched between them, strange and magnetic. Then Taiho shifted slightly. "You need protection," he said. "Real protection." Celine frowned. "You mean more guards?" "No," he stepped closer. "I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself." Her eyes widened. "Me? Fight?" "Taiho, I can't." "You can," he said firmly. "And you will." The courtyard was empty when they stepped outside. Cold air brushed her face. Celine wrapped her arms around herself. Taiho faced her. "Stand straight," he ordered. "Feet apart. Shoulders relaxed." She tried. Failed. Tried again. His brows lowered faintly. "Come here." He stepped behind her, placing his hands gently on her shoulders to correct her posture. His touch was firm but slow, careful, as if he didn't want to scare her. Celine's breath caught. Her heart thumped loudly in her chest. "You're tense," he murmured. "I wonder why," she whispered, half nervous, half teasing. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. He lowered his hand to her waist, guiding her stance. A warm shiver ran up her spine. "Good," he said softly. "Now, if someone grabs you, like this." His hand circled her wrist, slow and deliberate. "Pull your arm downward, then twist." She tried. Failed. He tried again. This time, she broke free. A small, surprised laugh escaped her. "I did it." She hadn't seen it before, but Taiho's eyes warmed almost invisibly. "Yes," he said. "You did." After an hour, they paused to rest. Celine breathed heavily, sweat collecting at her temple. Taiho handed her a bottle of water. Their fingers brushed. Her heart jumped. His breath hitched. "Thank you for teaching me," she said quietly. "You need to survive," he replied. But that wasn't all he meant. She felt it. The wind carried a chill, but the space between them felt warm, dangerously warm. They both looked away, as if afraid of what their eyes might confess. Later that evening, Celine cooked for herself. She wasn't expecting him to appear. But he did. Taiho stood quietly in the doorway, watching her stir the pot. His expression softened at the domestic sight, something simple, something normal. "You cook?" he asked, with a voice so gentle it barely sounded like him. "Yes," she replied. "Do you want some?" Silence. Then a quiet, almost shy, "Yes." She served him. They sat across from each other in a small corner of the kitchen. The mansion felt suddenly too small, too intimate, too quiet. He ate slowly, as if tasting peace for the first time. "This," he said softly, "reminds me of when I was young." Her eyes met his. "What happened?" He looked down. "My father died. My mother left. The world became cold after that." Celine's chest ached. She had never heard him speak this way. So open. So human. Without thinking, she touched his hand. "Taiho. I'm sorry." His eyes lifted, locking onto hers. Sharp. Searching. Softening. Her thumb brushed his knuckles. For the first time, Taiho didn't pull away. It was in that moment, small, fragile, warm, that their walls began to crumble. And both of them felt it. Celine didn't know. All she knew was that ever since she touched Taiho's hand in the kitchen, her pulse had been moving in strange rhythms, half fear, half something warm she didn't want to name. Even the air between them felt different now. He felt different. Colder on the outside. Softer on the inside. Like a storm pretending to be stone. The mansion was unusually silent that night. No guards talking. No footsteps. No voices. Silence like this was dangerous. Celine lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Her mind replayed every moment of the last few days, her kidnapping, Kang Lee's betrayal, the enemies watching her, the training with Taiho, his hands guiding her waist, the way his eyes had softened. She turned on her side, trying to push the thoughts away. A sudden noise came from the hallway. Celine sat up sharply. Her chest tightened. Another sound, quick, sharp, like metal striking metal. Then, footsteps. She grabbed the nearest object, a small lamp, and held it close. Her breath rushed in harsh, fearful waves. The doorknob turned. Her heart stopped. The door opened. "Tai-ho," she whispered, voice trembling. He stepped inside, shutting the door fast behind him. His hair was messy, his breathing uneven, his jacket half torn. He scanned the room before finally looking at her. "You're safe," he said. But his voice carried a tension that made Celine stand. "What happened?" she asked. He hesitated for the first time since she met him. "Someone tried to break through the east gate." Celine's stomach dropped. "So I was the target again?" "Yes." Silence fell like a heavy blanket between them. He stepped toward her, then stopped, as if unsure how close he was allowed to be. "You're shaking," he said quietly. "I'm scared," she admitted in a small voice. It was the first time she said it out loud. Tai-ho's face shifted. Just a little. He walked toward her, slowly, like approaching something fragile. His hand lifted, hesitated, then gently touched her cheek. "Nothing will happen to you," he said. "I won't allow it." The promise in his voice felt heavier than steel. Celine's breath hitched at his touch. She looked into his eyes and saw it. Pain, anger, hunger, all tangled together. "Tai-ho," she whispered. He stepped closer. So close she could feel his breath brush her skin. "I don't know why," he murmured, "but when I heard the attack, your name was the only thing in my head." Her heart thundered. "Why are you saying this?" His fingers brushed her jaw, slow, uncertain. "Because I can't act like I don't care anymore." Celine felt something give way inside her, a wall she didn't know she had. "Then don't," she breathed. His eyes flickered with something hot and dangerous. Then, without another word, he pulled her into him. The kiss wasn't soft. It was deep, desperate, like he'd been holding it back for years. Celine melted into him, her hands gripping his shirt, her heart racing against his chest. He kissed her like she was breath itself, like she was the only warm thing in his cold world. He pulled away only when breathing became impossible. Their foreheads touched. "This is wrong," Tai-ho whispered. Celine's lips brushed his lightly. "Then why does it feel right?" A soft, broken sound escaped him, half sigh, half surrender. He held her close, his voice barely above a whisper. "Because I want you. More than I should." Celine closed her eyes. For the first time since she entered the mansion, she didn't feel alone. How many times can a heart break before it finally turns to stone? Celine didn't know. But when the gates of the Donkian mansion opened the next morning, she felt the old wound in her chest rip open all over again. Because Kang Lee, the man who sold her, the man who left her at the altar, the man she once loved, had come back. Celine was in the courtyard with Tai-ho, practicing the self-defense moves he had taught her. The morning sun warmed her skin, but dread was already forming under her ribs. Tai-ho stood close, correcting her stance. His hand brushed her back. Her breath caught. Their kiss from the night before still hovered in the air between them, fragile and dangerous. "Again," he said softly. His voice wasn't just a command, it was a promise. A protection. Celine nodded and lifted her hands. Before she could strike, Junho sprinted from the main building, his face pale. "Boss," he said breathlessly, "he's here." Tai-ho froze. His jaw clenched. "Who?" he demanded. Junho swallowed. "Kang Lee." Celine's world tilted. A cold wind rushed through her chest, wiping out every bit of warmth the morning had given her. Tai-ho turned to her immediately. "Stay behind me." Her lips parted in shock. He came here?" Junho nodded. "He's at the entrance. He's asking for her." Tai-ho led the way, Celine walking close behind him. Every step felt heavier than the last. Her stomach twisted. Her palms sweated. The front courtyard was filled with guards. And in the middle of them stood Kang Lee. He looked nothing like the man she once planned a future with. His hair was messy, his clothes wrinkled, his eyes red as if he hadn't slept in days. He looked desperate. Broken. Human, but not trustworthy. When he saw Celine, his face crumbled. Celine, he breathed, taking a step forward. Taiho immediately moved between them, blocking him. Don't come any closer, Taiho warned. Kang Li held up his hands. Please. I just want to talk to her. Celine forced her shaking legs to hold her up. Her voice came out small, but sharp. What do you want? Kang Li looked at her with watery eyes. I made a mistake. I know. I wasn't thinking straight. I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear. Celine felt her heart crack again, but this time it cracked differently. Not with sadness. With anger. Taiho told me everything, she said quietly. You sold other women too, didn't you? Kang Li looked away. His silence was the answer. Celine's breath trembled. And you would have done worse to me if I hadn't gotten into that car, right? You didn't love me. You never did. I did, he cried suddenly. I still do. No, she cut in, shaking her head. You don't love anything but yourself. Taiho's eyes softened at her words, but they turned to steal the moment he looked back at Kang Li. You should leave, Taiho said. His voice carried deadly calm. You're lucky she's the one speaking to you, not me. Kang Li clenched his fists. Taiho, please. Let me talk to her alone. Just 5 minutes. No, Taiho said flatly. Kang Li looked at Celine again. Celine, please, just hear me out. I can explain. Celine blinked slowly, feeling heat rise behind her eyes. You don't get to explain anything to me, she whispered. You destroyed me. Her voice broke, and Taiho took her hand gently. She didn't pull away. Kang Li's eyes dropped to their joined hands. Shock flashed across his face, then jealousy, then rage. I knew it, he whispered. He took you from me. Taiho stepped forward, voice low and dangerous. She was never yours. Kang Li's face twisted. You think she loves you? You think she's safe with you? They're coming for her, Taiho. They'll kill her, and they'll kill you too. Taiho smirked coldly. Let them come. Kang Li pointed at Celine. You're making a mistake. He's using you. You don't know what he is. I know exactly what he is, Celine said, voice steady. And he never sold me. Kang Li froze. Celine took a breath. It's over, Kang Li. Leave. Don't ever come near me again. Her words fell like stones. And they shattered something inside Kang Li. He stepped back, breathing hard, his eyes wild. If I can't have you, no one will. That sentence sent a chill through every guard present. Taiho snapped his fingers. Get him out. 2 guards grabbed Kang Li, dragging him back toward the gates. He struggled, shouting Celine's name like a curse. Celine leaned into Taiho without meaning to. Her fingers trembled. He placed a steady hand on her back. You did well, he murmured. But she didn't feel strong. She felt broken. Confused. Terrified. And yet, safe in Taiho's arms. Later, in the quiet of her room, Celine pressed her palm over her heart. Her breathing slowed. Her voice trembled. Taiho, why does everything hurt? He sat beside her, his presence calm, grounding. Because you cared, he whispered. And caring always hurts first. She looked at him, really looked at him. This man who scared everyone. This man who showed her softness when no one else did. This man who kissed her like she mattered. Taiho, she whispered, will he come back? Yes, Taiho answered honestly. But next time. I'll be ready. Celine's throat filled with emotion. What if I'm not? Taiho leaned close, his voice low and warm. Then I'll protect you. He brushed a soft kiss against her forehead. And for the first time since she was taken, Celine felt like she could breathe again. Just after midnight, the first explosion shook the eastern courtyard. The walls trembled. The floor vibrated. The alarms screamed through the mansion like wounded spirits. Celine jerked awake, heart pounding violently. Taiho, she gasped, scrambling off the bed. Before she reached the door, Junho burst into the room, breathless. Stay behind me. They've surrounded the mansion. Who? She cried. Junho's jaw tightened. Kang Li. And Taiho's enemies. Her blood ran cold. The next explosion came closer. Junho grabbed her wrist. We move. Now. They ran down the hallway as bullets cracked against the windows. Men shouted. Smoke filled the air. Celine's chest squeezed with terror. Tai-ho, she shouted again. We're getting to him, Junho said, pulling her forward. But the closer they got to the main hall, the louder the gunfire became. Celine couldn't breathe. Every breath dragged more fear into her lungs. Then, a figure crashed through the smoke. Tai-ho. Blood on his shirt. Rage in his eyes. A gun in his hand. He reached her in 2 steps, grabbing her shoulders. Celine. Are you hurt? No, she whispered, touching his face. But you. He shook his head. It's nothing. I promised I'd protect you. Gunfire erupted behind them. Tai-ho pulled her into his chest, shielding her with his body. Move. Junho shouted. He fired at the attackers, forcing them back. But then, a single gunshot cut through the chaos. Bang! Celine froze. Tai-ho's body jerked. Her scream tore from her throat. Tai-ho. He staggered, blood blooming across his side like a red flower. He gripped her arm, forcing himself to stay upright. No, she whispered, catching him as he fell to one knee. Please, stay with me. His breath shook. His forehead pressed against hers. His voice came out rough and low. You matter, he choked. More than this, more than all of this. Tears streamed down her cheeks. Don't talk like that. You're not leaving me. Footsteps pounded toward them. Kang Lee appeared through the smoke, his eyes wild with hate and bruised pride. Celine, he said, pointing a gun at them. You should have chosen me. Celine's entire body trembled. Not with fear. With fury. She stood in front of Tai-ho, raising her chin proudly. I would rather die than choose you again. Kang Lee's face twisted in rage. He aimed. But before he fired, Junho tackled him from behind. The gun flew out of Kang Lee's hand. 2 guards seized him. It was over. Kang Lee screamed as they dragged him away. His voice echoed, but it no longer reached her. Her heart was with Tai-ho. Celine knelt beside him, pressing her hands against his wound. Stay awake, she begged. Look at me. Tai-ho lifted his hand, brushing her cheek with trembling fingers. I chose you, he whispered. Even when I didn't want to feel, I chose you. Her tears fell onto his hand. And I choose you too. Every day. Every moment. Don't leave me. He closed his eyes briefly, exhausted, hurting. But then, his fingers curled around hers. I'm not leaving. Junho returned with more men. We have him stabilized. Get the boss to the medical wing. Celine held Tai-ho's hand the entire way. She did not let go. Not when they stitched his wound. Not when he cried out in pain. Not when exhaustion pulled him into sleep. She stayed. Hours later, the first light of dawn filled the room. Celine sat beside him, her fingers tangled with his. His eyes opened slowly. Celine, he whispered. She leaned over him, her forehead resting against his. You scared me. He exhaled shakily. You saved me. Tai-ho lifted her hand and pressed a soft kiss to her knuckles. Stay with me, he murmured. Not because you're trapped. Not because of your father. Stay, because you want to. Celine's heart swelled. I'm not going anywhere, she whispered. You're my home now. Tai-ho pulled her gently into his arms. And in the quiet of the healed dawn, with war behind them, and love in front of them, Celine knew she had found the place she belonged.